This could be the worst election prediction of all time. This guy said Clinton had 100% chance of winning.
Plouffe, the man who says Hillary Clinton has a 100% chance of winning. So that means that
certainly
no scenario that we could lay out to get Donald Trump to 270 electoral votes is something he would buy. So we thought we'd get David in here to look at those scenarios that the Republicans are talking about, citing them as a potential path to victory, and explain to us why they are not just implausible, but impossible. So let's look at the first one. This is the baseline here for any Trump to win. The big three, Ohio, North Carolina, Florida. Even Democrats can see now Iowa is probably going to be a Trump state. So all the possible scenarios start with the big three plus Iowa. Now that doesn't get them all the way to 270, though. That gets them to 259. So let's look at the first scenario that could get Trump to 270, which would be adding in here Pennsylvania. The so-called Pennsylvania path, 279, doesn't need to win anything but the big three, Iowa and Pennsylvania. You could concede Trump could win the big three in Iowa. Could.
No.
Concede. Could. He can't.
So here's, I think Iowa.
What do you mean, no?
The two states he's doing best in are Iowa and Ohio.
Right.
But I still believe I'd rather be her than.
I understand, but
both.
is it implausible, impossible, I should say, that he wins Florida? Can't be impossible.
I think it's very unlikely.
And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida with its 29 electoral votes.
But not
He's
impossible.
doing better right now in the campaign polling and the public polling than we ever did, and we won it twice. And the state has become more demographically friendly, so we win it by 2.5 now rather than the 1 just through shift alone.
More demographically friendly. We'll get to that later in the video.
We got a lot of states here. Can he win North Carolina?
I think,
he can.
Clinton,
he can. All right, so let's put our Florida dispute aside. Say he could win it. Tell us why Pennsylvania is impossible for Trump.
It's the Easter Bunny, okay? It doesn't exist.
We haven't had any swing states called yet, and those are states that Clinton was supposed to win. Was supposed to win Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Those states are all correlated, meaning that if you have problems with white working class voters, if you don't turn out African Americans, then you potentially lose those states or win by a razor-thin margin. I mean, she is in profound trouble right now in the Electoral College.
He's going to walk out of southeastern Pennsylvania, Philly, and those 3 suburban counties, Delaware, Montgomery, Bucks. She's going to have north of 500,000 margin. There's just numerically not enough vote to pick up.
The AP now projecting that Donald Trump has won the state of Pennsylvania.
That is the race, frankly. There is no path forward for Hillary Clinton.
Does that state become more Democratic since 4 years ago?
So here's what I think. If Trump were a different candidate who had some appeal to suburban voters, I still think it would be hard for a Republican. The problem is it's like his Northern Virginia.
As you can see, he kind of injects there a little bit his own personal feeling. We'll get to that again later. There's a lot of, I think, personal feeling toward Trump in this prediction.
Problem, his Denver suburb problem, and his Philadelphia suburb problem. It just, he can't get there. So could he get within 2 or 3? I think she wins at 4 or 5, yes, but he can't get to a win number.
Okay,
Let's look at scenario number 2 now.
He can't get to a win number, really.
All right, what about winning the silver state in Wisconsin? Get him to 275.
Wisconsin's going to be a Clinton state. So is Michigan. So is Minnesota. I mean, the Democratic.
Wisconsin and Michigan, a Clinton state. You heard it there, folks.
CNN now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Wisconsin. He will win Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes. He's cracked the so-called blue wall that Hillary Clinton had tried to create.
You said before the map has narrowed, and as the Trump campaign basically has as a proposition, perhaps at the end, pick 2 of these scenarios and just say, oh, go all in. Trump could do a week-long bus tour in Pennsylvania, right? Or whatever, Wisconsin, whatever they choose, right? So what happens?
Because Florida and,
well, I understand.
and
We'd have
not.
I'm not saying just that state, but I'm saying basically you could, these combinations involved, let's assume Iowa and Ohio are safe. Not for sure, but let's
No, I think she's going to win them both.
I understand, but let's...
Iowa and Ohio?
Yes, I do.
Iowa and Ohio.
They can't.
Of course you do. Iowa and Ohio?
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. CNN projects Donald Trump will win Ohio with its 18 electoral votes.
We've got another big state. It's an important one. Actually, it's a small state, but it's a very important one. It's the state of Iowa. 6 electoral votes. Last vote of Republican for George W. Bush in 2004. It has gone to Donald Trump.
Your campaign is a little bit less optimistic about those. But let's just say we get down to the end, the last 3 weeks, and he's got...
Look at him sitting there. He was standing sort of like Trump there. Little Trump impression from him there. The hands.
Let's just say we get down to the end, the last 3 weeks, and he's got those pretty well secured. Then he basically could campaign in 4 states, right? He could campaign in Florida, North Carolina, and then any 2 that get him over the top. At that point, you're basically running for governor of 4 states at the same time.
Well, he may show up.
He could pour money in, right? Republican allies could come in.
He could show up. He doesn't have much of an organization. And again, the
Republican Party has an organization.
It's not the same as a candidate.
I understand. I agree with that. But all I'm saying is, in the end, you're saying now, you look at the national map, he can't get to 270. But isn't it impossible to say what happens if a guy who's willing to maybe drop a lot of money just to say, basically, I'm going in 4 states for 3 weeks?
No, because you're basically, the product matters here, and he's a flawed product. I mean, that's again where my confidence comes in. This guy, in my view, is not going to be elected president.
Okay.
He's a flawed product again there. Sounds like some personal feeling of Trump. Here's another clip where he lays out what he thinks of Trump.
I think the assessment was that Donald Trump would try and do some things to appeal to the middle of the electorate, to appeal to suburban college-educated women. He's not. I mean, basically we have a psychopath running for president. I mean, he meets the clinical definition, okay?
Wait a minute.
Hillary Clinton,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do you really think diagnosing people on air, and I assume you don't have a degree in psychology, is that fair? I mean, we're jumping to conclusions here. I think this is what gets voters a little frustrated with
well,
this campaign.
listen, the grandiose notion of self-worth, pathological lying, lack of empathy and remorse. So I think he does, right? I don't have a degree in psychology. But here's, Chuck, basically the race sits today. I think Hillary Clinton is guaranteed at least 269 electoral votes. Think about that.
And as a bonus, here's him again being way overconfident.
I think believer put away.
Earlier this week, you compared it to 84. You basically said this race is over. We just don't know the margin.
I think that's right. I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's maybe a 20% chance it's close 2-3 points. I think it's likely going to be a landslide. I mean, you look at every state. So Pennsylvania, Donald Trump has less than 0% chance of winning Pennsylvania. So she's sitting at 269, and I think
less than 0 in Pennsylvania.
it's got a ceiling.
And your basic argument is that the premise here, he's not going to win all 4 of those states.
No,
That's what you're saying.
no. I think she's going to win all 4, but Florida and North Carolina, I would much rather be her.
All right.
Iowa and Ohio are the toughest.
All right, David Plouffe, we are 100% certain we will see you again on the program. Thanks for
All
coming.
right, let's take a look at one more clip of him discussing this. He has some different takes, kind of similar, but let's look.
David Plouffe, he's currently an informal advisor to Hillary Clinton's campaign. David?
What none of these polls accurately do is to look at what a good campaign does is say you have a very good sense of who's likely to vote. You obviously want to affect that to the extent you can with turnout. How's 100% of the vote going to be allocated? Undecided vote, soft supporters. My belief is Johnson and Stein's vote number will not be as high as it is right now. Mm-hmm. So when you look at that, getting Trump to a win number in Pennsylvania, whether that win number is 50, 49, or 48, I just think mathematically
Are
it's
you
impossible.
assuming Johnson and Stein vote?
Mathematically impossible.
Donald Trump, I think, has a harder ceiling than Hillary Clinton is.
Yeah.
I mean, getting above 45 nationally, I think, is going to be very difficult for Donald Trump.
Really?
This is a Fox News election alert. Pennsylvania goes to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
John Heilman.
Wow.
David, you said over the summer at a Bloomberg event at the Republican convention that you thought Hillary Clinton had a 100% chance of winning the election. 100% chance. Do you still think she has a 100% chance of winning the election?
I do. I know that sounds crazy but getting close doesn't matter in a presidential election. You have to win.
Mark?
Field organizing and television are 2 areas where the Trump campaign has been very far behind. They're catching up to some extent, but they'll end up far behind. Does that matter? Does that hurt his chances in some meaningful way?
I think it does. I mean, we always thought that the campaign is basically your field goal unit, and it can be worth anywhere from a point to 3. So I think it does. I think the Clinton campaign has a very smart field operation. It's based on smart analytics and data, and they are advertising. Television advertising is less important.
Where have we heard that before? The field operation, the ground game, things like that.
But the Trump campaign, in its memo to interested parties, as they put it, say that they have a very strong ground game. They're confident in how that's going to play out here over these next few days. But when you look at the sheer number of people who are out there on the payroll, it is the Harris campaign that has the edge.
I actually believe the race is likely to open up a little bit for her in the next 4 or 5 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean she's going to win by 8 or 10, but could she end up winning this nationally from 4 to 6? I still think that's quite possible.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us. It's about us on our victory.
Can the candidate win without the type of get out the vote operation that you guys had in 8 and 12?
Sure, if they've just got enormous momentum and there's strong winds blowing out there and they're surfing, it's almost like no matter what you do, you're going to win. I don't think that's where we are. So again, I think states like Florida.
I mean, that is where they were.
In all likelihood, you're going to see, like in a state like Florida, we won it by a point. We win it in 2016 by 2.5 just through demographic drift alone. Okay? And I think Clinton will probably do better with some white voters in the southern part of the state.
Demographic drip. Where have we heard that before as well? Like the demographics is destiny argument. How is that working out? Especially how is that working out in Florida, of all places?
The Latino vote in Florida usually favors Democrat candidates, but in this election, it took a big turn right.
West 2's Tonight Gabrigatigis tells us what drove the shift that helped President-elect Donald Trump to a win.
And the northern part of the state than we did. So that's where I think it becomes, I know 100% sounds crazy, but I'm going to stick with it because the electoral college puzzle here is definitely in Hillary Clinton's advantage.
The only problem is everyone's been wrong about Trump every step of the way. So that's the only thing.
We shall see.
And why would you say 100%? By the way, I kind of said this recently with Tim Walz, so I'll kind of put like a bit of a call out to myself.
I would certainly consider that. Please.
He's like the perfect intersection of won't win and the Democratic, like progressive base loves Tim Walz. But I think when someone becomes the actual candidate, 100%, I mean, that's a very bad message. You not only just look like massive amount of egg on your face, but 100%. Life doesn't work like that.
Thing. Every step of the way.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us, David. And you work for a great company.
So anyway, with that, I'll finish the video. But thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I'll see you in the next video.